Live the life of your dreams. When you start to live your dreams, there will always be obstacles, doubters, mistakes, and setbacks. But with hard work, perseverance, and self-belief, there is no limit to what you can achieve. These words of Roy T. Bennett speak of the journey the Mennonites of Spanish Lookout have carved in Belize's history in just 60 short years. The people of this community have created an impacting influence to fellow Belizeans, integrated into Belize's society, and proudly stand to call this land home. Having made close connections with the government from the beginning, the Mennonites honor the government officials' presence at the 60th anniversary of Spanish Lookout.
This is a country that welcomes people. It welcomes the Garifuna people, it welcomes the people from the Guerra de Casta, it welcomes the Mestizos, of course. It welcomes with open arms the Mennonite community.
The main connection with the main ministry is Ministry of Agriculture. The purpose is because we are all agriculture driven. Our forefathers, they were very concerned about Social Security, and we still could enjoy that. We don't need to pay the Social Security. Second was the schools. I believe it's in these days more important to us, the schools, that we could have our private schools, that we could teach our kids about our Heavenly Father, about Jesus Christ. And agreement is very important to us, and as long as we follow the rules, we will be able to pass it on to our descendants. And that's what we're striving for.
I could say I born there, because I born here, I grew up, I learned the Creole, and I learned to work.
Belize became the new home for these pioneers. Many belongings that they brought to this new home have remarkably stood the test of time.
From when this community was established 60 years ago, a lot has changed. The items that we use, the tools, the equipment that we use is drastically different from the beginning. So we exhibited a lot of those items to remind us and our younger generation of how things have changed, how things were done earlier, and how we have gotten to where we are today.
To this beautiful community, I say, you should be proud of your elders, of the original Mennonites, the pioneers that came. They built this beautiful community.
In the first years, the pioneers of Spanish Lookout braved the countless obstacles with hard work, sweat, blood, and tears.
But as we arrived, it took about 2 hours or more from Belize City to Spanish Lookout at that time. So we arrived at the Belize River, and they were hesitant to go through. So myself jumped off the truck, took off my shoes, rolled up my pants, and walked through. And the trucks followed.
When we came to Belize, my mother brought some seed from Mexico, and we make a garden, and the iguana that was in a tree looking at what my mother did, they was ready to eat when they came out. And the ants would eat the leaves, and the insects eat the balance, and the rain drowned everything, and garden was finished.
Of course, in those days, if you had a floor and a roof and a few or some siding on, you thought the house was ready to live in. So that's what we did the first when we came.
So no electric saw, no generator, nothing?
No, absolutely nothing. Barely a handsaw to cut by hand and a few hammers. That's what we had.
We had nothing on wheels, nothing. There was no kind of wheels. Not even a crib wheel. And we had to carry everything on the back. The whole 18 by 24 house was built from everything on the shoulders. We carried it all the way from the river, about a quarter mile. And it worked.
From building houses to wearing clothes made of flour sack fabrics, the Mennonite pioneers set out to adapt to and thrive in this new environment. They used intensive physical labor in primitive circumstances.
Vi møker de kläder från märsak, från födelsedag vad vi kijken kunnen met verder. En daar hadden ze verschillende uit te lezen. Ze hadden een band, een streepje, we kunnen dat wat we willen. En dat kwam veel biljas wanneer we van stuur kijken deden. Wanneer we dat meel kochten, dan weer de warm maken, moesten we dat zeven. Wanneer we de warm niet willen opeten. Wanneer we dat maar als 2 dagen liggen laten, dan wordt het zuur. En wanneer we het verbruiken, dan gaat het lean en dat smaakt slecht.
They came here seeking a place where they could be free to practice their religion without any difficulties. Belize offered them that, but more so, Belize offered them some land. They found land. But because these people came from societies that were actually productive, as you heard, Germany, Russia, Canada, so they came with a can-do mentality. So a machete and a power saw and some bush didn't represent a challenge, it represented an opportunity. And fast forward to 60 years and you see where the group are. They're Belizeans and we're proud of them. They've integrated into the society fairly well. But it is the agricultural and industrial center of the nation.
Farming has increased greatly since 60 years ago when it moved to Spanish Lookout. Back then it was small-scale farms, a lot of the work done by hand, or small tractors.
I used to earn about 1 cent a row for it was for 100 yards. I did about 50 rows if I did real good. And now these days you do about 300 bags an hour. It comes to about 6 acres an hour.
We now have anywhere between 30 to 600 horse tractors running the fields. Technologically, we have increased drastically as well. We now have GPSs and satellite run navigations on our tractors, whereas back in the day it was just eyeing down the field to try to get up and down as straight as possible.
Well, I still remember going to church with a tractor and trailer on Sundays. We had a little two-wheel trailer behind there. Going to the store shopping was a normal thing with tractor and trailer. Plus all the rest, field work and everything. Cultivating, plowing, planting, bringing feed from the feed mills. That was all, one tractor could do everything.
Getting stuck in the mud used to be a daily occurrence. 60 years ago, we didn't have the road system we do now. It was mostly dirt roads. Getting around was mostly done on tractor and trailer. It was a common daily thing, dealing with all the mud. It really made traveling very difficult. Nowadays, we really don't know how good we have compared to 60 years ago. Tractor pull signifies how, when the community comes together, we can accomplish just about anything. It took about 300 people, but we were able to hold back a nearly 600 horse tractor, and that weighs about 50,000 pounds. It signifies also what our large equipment is able to do and how many hands it would take to do that actual job. Being the driver and the owner of the tractor, it was a great experience. It was a lot of fun. I knew that people would be able to hold me back. I was hoping it'd take more people than it did. Of course, we wanted to show we have the biggest and the baddest, right? And so, but it was a lot of fun. It was a great time, and it was impressive to see how they could pull me backwards.
This mindset of strength and unity has paved the way for success in clearing the land and building highways.
The Fortson Major log loader, it was rebuilt and remodeled by our most energetic Lowen brothers. Okay, the very first caterpillar, I believe it was a D8. That caterpillar, soon after we had it, it broke down, and then they returned him back to the previous owner, and then they purchased another D4, and that D4 is still running up to after 60 years.
Progressing from the old to the new, with gratitude, the pioneers and those that followed have remained faithful in serving God.
To allow you that freedom of religion and education, which, again, by display today, is very evident that there is excellence in all that you do.
Bells that drop refreshing dew, songs that genial heat diffuse.
The first church service was under a big tamarind tree on the riverbank of Belize. And we had putting their planks on blocks and sitting there for 6 Sundays. And then it changed over to new built houses before the owners arrived. And a second church roof was built with bay leaves that was located where the Essex station is now. And that was there until Hurricane Hattie came that blew it down. After some years, that was full, not enough room. So then we started the next district, which was Rosenhof, 1972. And that continued till 1977. And then the third district was opened. Then between the 77 and 90, we had farther to the north, another district started to come. Some years later, Greendale was just the 5th district was opened and almost ready now. Like in the first communing service, they had to wait for the people coming far from back on a muddy road, rainy day, and they had to sing 2 hours before they arrived, just for waiting. But that's one point. Then the other point on the wedding services, the reception time, they sang usually from 10 to 15 songs. Almost the whole afternoon was singing.
Remember, we can be the greatest people group on the planet. But if we don't have love, what does it say in 1 Corinthians 13? We amount to noise.
Education is very important for the younger generation to be successful in the future. Back then we had only 2 schools in Spanish Lookout, and it has increased to 20 schools. And 60 years ago we only teach German in schools, and now we teach German and English. Now we are also teaching geography and social studies.
Significant change has occurred in the past 60 years. The event planning committee of the Spanish Lookout's 60th anniversary worked countless hours to convey this message of the story of the Mennonite forefathers. The pioneers came to seek a new life they have made. Spanish Lookout celebrates the progress that hard work, productivity, and faith in God have created, and the people take a moment to give Him praise. Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father.